almost 14 years since the NFL and the New England Patriots were tangled in the cheating scandal Spygate. Patriots were caught illegally filming Jets coaching signals from the sideline during their 2007 season opener, something Bill Belichick's Patriots had done repeatedly over 7 years, despite repeated warnings from the league to stop. Many thought the matter had been put to rest when Commissioner Roger Goodell quickly fined the team, and Belichick took away a first-round draft pick and then had all the evidence destroyed. But an ESPN investigation now reveals there was more to that story. According to Don Van Natta Jr. and Seth Wickersham of ESPN, then private citizen Donald Trump, acting on behalf of Patriots owner Robert Kraft, met with late Senator Arlen Specter of Pennsylvania in 2008 and offered him, quote, money in Palm Beach, unquote, if he dropped his investigation into Spygate. Spokesman for Trump and Kraft denied the allegation to ESPN that either man tried to influence Specter's investigation. All right, we bring in former Patriot Damien Woody to join the conversation. Damien, I will get to you in a minute, but I want to start here with Max. Max, from what we now know, would you say the Patriots dynasty is tainted?
Yeah, of course. It always has been because of this. And by the way, that said, it's still the greatest dynasty of all time. We've already taken the discount and still have to acknowledge it's the greatest of all time. But, yeah, it's been tainted. I mean, look, first of all, Arlen Specter from Pennsylvania, don't forget, they lost the Super Bowl in 04, the Eagles. I think it was the 04 Super Bowl to the New England Patriots, right? How did this even come up? Guys like who were on the coaching staff in New England, Mangini, right? Like they're alerting people to it because they know how things are done there. Like everyone knew Belichick and the Patriots were willing to do whatever it took to win, including cheat, right? And they're taping practice, whatever. It's ongoing. Then later on, it was Spygate and look, Deflategate. People already know this about them. But here's the big thing, and this is what it reminds people. Why did the NFL destroy the evidence? Come on. Why would Robert Kraft and Donald Trump, who, by the way, of course, both deny it, right? Why would they want to direct money to someone's campaign in exchange for killing an investigation? If you're innocent, you should want it to come to the light. And even if you say, well, it's just negative press, who needs it? Well, but would you go to potentially illegal means to kill an investigation? To stop negative press? That doesn't sound right. The circumstantial evidence corroborates what everyone outside of New England already thinks. Yeah, they cheated. Yeah, it taints the dynasty. And yeah, that dynasty is great enough that even though it taints it, it's still the best ever. But Patriots fans, don't pretend like it's not tainted.
I think it's a matter of opinion, Max. And I know this is an opinionated show, but I say that no tongue in cheek. I say it because I think it's how you look at it. You know, if you got a cheating scandal involving college that, you know, spans years, like, you know, and then you're SMU and you get the death penalty and your program is completely, you know, just squashed because of perpetual controversies, cheating and things of that nature, it would be different. But this Spygate, you're basically videotaping stuff from an unauthorized location. It happened September 9th, 2007. That was game one of that season. The New England Patriots, that same season that they were fined, the same season that they were caught, the same season that they were punished as a team and as the head coach Bill Belichick himself, they went 16-0. And in order to lose, they lost 17-14 in the Super Bowl to the New York Giants. The next year, Matt Castle comes in because Tom Brady gets injured in week one against Kansas City. They go 11-5, even though they didn't make the playoffs. They proceed to make the playoffs the next 10 years. And the last 8 of those years, they were at the very least in the conference championship game. So when I look at it from that perspective, you talk to me about it being tainted. I don't see that as being tainted at all. I really, really don't. I think that they validated their level of greatness. And there's no way around that. And I think that is, you know, people that hate on Tom Brady, even though he had nothing to do with that, really, it was really about Bill Belichick. So be it. But I don't view it that way. But I'm going to take this as...
Stephen A., 1 second. What if they have years of footage, though? You don't think that's an advantage? If they have years of footage on other teams, forget that season, that other teams
Well, I don't think that's the right
have?
question. I don't think that's the right question. Do you know that they have years of footage?
No, I'm asking you, if they have years of footage, you don't think it's tainted?
I think years of footage, yeah, it would be tainted. But I don't have any evidence of that. and neither do they, evidently. We haven't seen it.
Former Patriot,
so because of it, that's where I'm going. Now let me get to Mr. Kraft real quick. Can we stop this with Mr. Kraft? First of all, let's put this in its proper perspective, and that's assuming guilt. Let's assume guilt for a second. Let me get this straight. My head coach and my GM is doing something that's a bit shady involving videotaping from an unauthorized location. I ultimately find this out because as the owner, that's not a particular situation I'm paying attention to until it comes to light. I'm the owner. His job is to coach the football team. So I find out about this. Oh, stop the presses. I try to use a connection to make sure that the stuff doesn't blow up and proliferate to astronomical proportions where it could end up costing my franchise a boatload of money down the line because it would compromise my success. In the world of business, when does that not happen? So unless you could tell me that Mr. Kraft was the one that knew and was directly involved with the videotaping of defensive schemes from unauthorized locations, unless he was directly involved in that, don't come to me with some stuff about Mr. Kraft and how he may have tried to use his influence to prevent his franchise from being ravaged for years, if not another decade. Anybody in his position, if that was the circumstance, would do it. Let's stop that.
Listen, I don't even know what the hell y'all want me to do with this. I mean, listen, from a player's perspective, we talk about, Spygate, Deflategate, all these different gates, but I just know from the players, all we do is we go out there and prepare and go play games. Steve and Nate talked about basically the record of excellence that the New England Patriots, despite all these different, controversies that's been brought up, at the end of the day, you still got to go out there between the white lines and go make things happen. And we're talking about, the year that the New England Patriots went 16-0. I don't care how much amount of taping you do to go out there and win every single regular season game. I mean, that's next to impossible. That just shows you the standard of excellence that's within that New England Patriots organization. I get it. There's going to be a healthy level of skepticism from outside of New England. But I can guarantee you the guys in the locker room knew the type of work that had to be put in to be able to sustain of 10 years straight of going to making the playoffs and at minimum being in the championship game. I don't think that's something that you're going to ever see again. So, again, just speaking as a former player and obviously, being a former Patriot, I know what these guys put the type of work that they put in to have that level of success during that Patriots dynasty.
Well, look, I hear you, Wood. Like, hey, don't blame. It's not like the Astros, for example, where all the players are in on the cheating and now they're crying about it. And the Astros are not the powerhouse they once were once they were caught cheating. 101 wins, 103 wins, 107 wins, and now they're a little over 500, a little under 500 last, a little over 500 this year. I hear you. But let's not forget, what was it, 18 months ago, not even? The Patriots were caught taping the Bengals sideline. Like, the point is, just because they were caught, Stephen A., doesn't mean they stopped cheating. I am suspicious that the Patriots were cheating in that way or some other way the entire time. And again, I'm saying, because of what Wood just pointed out, even when you take the discount of the cheating, it's still the greatest dynasty of all time. Patriots, right. I want to be very clear. I'm not taking that away from you. Yeah. But you got to admit it's tainted. You can't pretend it's not tainted.
I'd like to read something from my script, because when I tried to bring this up to Stephen A., you kind of shot me down. So this has been checked at many levels through ESPN, our editorial staff, when you said, well, how do you know that? So I want to repeat it to you again. The Patriots were caught illegally filming Jets coaching signals from the sideline during their 2007 season opener, something Belichick's Patriots had done repeatedly for over 7 years. So we have that on record that they were cheating for 7 years. And then all the evidence was destroyed. And then Donald Trump gets involved. So when I come out and say to you, could this possibly be tainted if this is true? We know for 7 years this was occurring, and I'm just wondering, why was evidence destroyed and why was Donald Trump getting involved if nothing was happening?
Yeah, and I'm saying to you, the only reason we're doing this story today is because of Donald Trump's involvement with him speaking to late Senator Arlen Specter, who obviously was alive at that particular moment in time, in an effort to try and squash the whole Spygate scenario. My point to you is that Bill Belichick and what he chooses to do with his coaching staff, don't come to me and tell me that Robert Kraft, the owner, was intimately involved with that. Just because you ultimately find out something and you try to squash it from having a devastating effect on your company doesn't mean that you were aware or you were involved in it at the time that it happened.
And he denied it, and Trump denied it too.
Yeah, but 72% of the time it's mostly false, or pants on fire with Trump, according to PolitiFact during his presidency. You take a denial, with a grain of salt. But I'll say this, Stephen A., the cover-up can be worse than the crime. Like, when you start trying to essentially, whether it's legal or not, funnel money a politician's way to kill an investigation, whether or not that you can infer from that Kraft knew or didn't know. He didn't want it coming to light, right? It was enough that he was thinking, I don't need any of this.
Here's what I want to know before we go to break, and I understand we have to go to break. And Max, Stephen A., and Damien, if you don't want to answer, I understand you played with the Patriots for 2 years. But if we're not blaming Robert Kraft, we're not blaming Bill Belichick, we're not blaming the Patriots players, who are we blaming here?
There's not a damn soul that said we're not blaming Bill Belichick. There's not a damn soul that said we're not blaming Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is clearly responsible. We all know that.
So that's who you're putting it on here.
Hell yeah.
It's Bill Belichick's fault. Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right. Max,
is that
where you are?
We sure that Robert Kraft would still choose Belichick over Brady if he had to do it again? I'm just asking.
Because it's long term.
Maybe, hey, Stephen A., maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the case because Belichick knows what Kraft knows or doesn't know. Maybe that's the case for the same reason that when someone on the coaching staff went to another team, this stuff came to light because he's like, hey, guess what's going on? Maybe Belichick has that on Kraft.
We live in a world where everybody tries to protect their interest. This is not that part about Trump and Kraft. That to me is par for the course in America. I mean, that's a given. The Belichick part ain't, but Kraft reaching out to a friend that might have some influence. I mean, that's everywhere in corporate America. Tell me something new.
If you want to kill something,
Still doesn't make it right.
If you want to kill something, you're right.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. And I bet it can be hard work. You know it's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
The WNBA is on its way back.
Playing basketball in a pandemic looks like this. No mask, no 6 feet apart. To put yourself in harm's way is a scary decision.
We are dedicating this season to Breonna Taylor.
The unity that we were able to experience was something that we won't forget and we can lean on as we move forward.
I would do it all over again because it's bigger than me. It's bigger than my teammates.
ESPN Films presents 144, presented by Hyundai. Now streaming on ESPN+.
How about a little quick take action? And we're going to start with Miami, my favorite city in the U.S., and their quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, talking about the Dolphins playbook. Take a listen.
Last year I wasn't as comfortable just in general. I wasn't comfortable calling plays. I think the guys that we had last year were phenomenal. I just didn't have, the comfortability of checking plays, alerting plays, and doing that. I just rode with the play, even if I knew it in a way that it wasn't going to work. I was going to try to make it work. I didn't actually know the playbook necessarily really, really good. And that's on no one else's fault, but my fault. And our play calls were simple when I was in, I didn't have alerts and checks. Whereas now, feeling more comfortable, I can kind of maneuver my way, through these things now.
All right, Stephen A., we know the game always slows down with reps. Thoughts on Tua admitting he didn't really know the playbook?
Well, I applaud him for manning up and acknowledging his faux pas there. You know, he was accepting responsibility for it. It wasn't the coach. It wasn't the general manager. It wasn't the coaching staff. It was him. This guy is a winner. We know what he did at Alabama. We know how hard it is to do for Nick Saban because preparation is this man's signature. The one thing you are not going to be playing for Nick Saban is to be unprepared. That's just not something that we hear of. And so for Tua to acknowledge that, I give him a lot of credit for it. And I think that the future's bright for him. He still completed 64% of his passes last year through 11 touchdowns. I think he's got a lot of promise. A lot of promise.
Max, retired quarterback Alex Smith says the treatment of Aaron Rodgers by the Packers, it's inexcusable. What do you make of Smith speaking out on this in his situation with Patrick Mahomes?
Well, look, I think it's pretty obvious that players are coming out and saying, who would know, are saying this is not right. Alex Smith, don't forget, first overall pick in the same draft. Rodgers was taken 24th. That was seen as a big mistake. And Alex Smith has experience with success on various teams. He's been around the league. He was a good quarterback. He's seen the highs, the lows, the ins and the outs. He knows this stuff. And he looks at Aaron Rodgers and thinks, that's no good, and that jives with what most people think.
Stephen A., the Senior Bowl and the NFL will hold a pre-draft combine for the top prospects from HBCUs next January. Your thoughts, sir?
I'm incredibly excited about it, and in the interest of full disclosure, I've decided to become a member of the advisory board of the HBCU Scouting Combine, so I'm on that advisory board for HBCUs as well. You've got guys like the general manager, Chris Ballard in Indy. You got Spielman in Minnesota. You got Shannon Sharp, Steve Weiss for the NFL Network, Primetime Deion Sanders, and others. So this is a very, very, very big deal, and I think that it's going to help HBCU athletes get attention. I'm loving it.
And First Take's going to cover a lot of it. It was a career performance for John Morant last night. 47 points, 7 assists, but just wasn't enough to take down the Jazz with Donovan Mitchell back in the lineup. I told you he'd have fresh legs. Series tied at 1-1. Let's welcome back our resident Grizzlies defender, Kendrick Perkins. Max, what more does Ja have to do?
Turn water into wine? I mean, what more? 21 years old. He just dropped 47 points in 43 minutes. By the way, let me tell you something about John Morant. Everyone's talking about Jason Tatum, and I've said Jason Tatum maybe one day could be the number one option offensively on a championship team. I think I would take John Morant over Jason Tatum going forward. John Morant is the next level of athlete, right? He has that Westbrook aggressiveness with explosive athleticism. He's looking for his teammates. He's looking to score. He had such a pretty assist at one point. It was late in the third quarter, dribbled behind his back. I forgot who he dumped it off to. It was a thing of beauty. Look, Donovan Mitchell, you said it, Molly. We both thought he'd have a big game. He did. He was almost as good minute for minute, 25 points in like 26 minutes, whatever it was. But Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Jamal Murray, now John Morant, Luka Doncic, these young dudes, like 22 years old and young, they're coming. They're ready. Like, they step up in their first playoff performances, and it's jaw-dropping. John Morant is joining that group right now.
He is joining that group. He is the truth. It's just that simple. When you show up in big moments, you respond to the challenge. That's what makes you who you are when you are a star in this league. And I think that we all see that from John Morant. I'm not sure I'm ready to go as far as saying I'd pick him ahead of Jason Tatum because you can't teach 6'9" with that wingspan and that marksmanship from the perimeter that Jason Tatum has at his disposal. But I absolutely love John Morant. He's a special, special talent. He's a special player. But even with all of that said, there isn't a damn thing that the Grizzlies can do other than pray for divine intervention. I don't care that the series is tied 1-1. They are a different animal when Donovan Mitchell is on the floor. And to watch these guys shoot the basketball from the perimeter, I'm getting very concerned. I'm getting very, very worried. Because we all know that my social life matters to me to some degree. And I would prefer to be in L.A. or Phoenix for the finals. We all know there's a strong possibility we could end up in Utah. We could end up in Salt Lake City because this team is something else. They've got size, they've got defense, they've got perimeter shooting, and they have a star who can close in Donovan Mitchell. And so to me, when I look at Memphis, they are coming. They are a team to be reckoned with. We have to respect them. They've got a very, very bright future ahead of them, but it's not right now. Donovan Mitchell is back, and as long as he is back, Utah will close out this series no matter what Ja Morant does.
Well, I respectfully disagree with you, Stephen A. When you look at Ja Morant and just look at his history, not getting recruited that heavily coming out of high school, going to a mid-major school at Murray State, and look, no one knew about him until he took that school to the tournament, and he shined when the lights hit the ice. And when he got to Memphis, no one expected them to even be good. They thought that they would be in the lottery again. What did this dude do last year? He had them in the 8th seed. He had them in the play-in tournament. Even in the play-in tournament against the Portland Trail Blazers, he shined bright. They just he didn't have enough to get over the hump. But when you talk about this year and talk about the test that he had to go through to get to this point, he's done what he needed to do, and so has the Memphis Grizzlies. They went down to Utah, and they tied it up. And I get it. They didn't have Donovan Mitchell. But guess what? They got to come back to the grindhouse. And as a person that's been there and had to play out there in Memphis at the FedEx Center and the grindhouse when they're playing that song from whatever it is, whoop that whatever, and it gets to rocking up in there, and them fans get to bumping and talking noise, and those role players get to feeding off of that energy, it's going to be another different story for the Utah Jazz. By the way, I'm just saying, before the foul count got even, because the officials know what they be doing throughout the course of the game, they called some crazy fouls on Dylan Brooks, had him sitting down. They called some ridiculous fouls on Valanciunas where Rudy Gobert hit him in the face, and all of a sudden, when he hit Rudy Gobert in the face by accident, he get a technical foul.
That was a weak call.
And you know what else showed me? You know what else showed me that this Memphis Grizzlies team is about that action? They were down 20 at half, and they came back, and they got there within single digits. I believe it was 3 points. And I said, you know what? They had ultimate confidence. They got the ultimate confidence. And when they get home, back to Memphis, it's going to be a different story. So it's on Utah. And I'm ready to see how Donovan Mitchell is going to respond after playing on that ankle. How is that ankle going to feel with the traveling and everything?
Perk, how did he look in game one? Hold on, long time off. You were saying, how did he look? How did Donovan Mitchell look first game back?
I get that, Max. You said the same thing about Kevin Durant. Okay, he proved me wrong. He came out and he looked good. I get that, right? He's a superior star. He is. But what I'm trying to tell you is the flights matter, okay? Because they talk about flying and how things could inflate it, being in the air and all that. And then when they get back to that grindhouse, y'all don't understand the grindhouse with Tony Allen and Big Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol and Mike Conley built the brick.
I've covered a few games there.
Tough environment to play in. I still got winning this series.
I've covered a few games there. It is a special place to play basketball when they are hyped about their team. Make no mistake about it. But let me tell you something. My position is predicated on the health of Donovan Mitchell. If Donovan Mitchell is healthy, there's nothing to talk about here. Utah's not losing this series.
I'm so happy to just see him back on the court.
Ja is amazing.
All right, Big Perk, you just get your gym shoes out, laced up, the comfortable ones for the errands. I'll be ready for you. I got the camera. I'll get a tripod actually, so I get your good angles.
Yeah, but I'm saying I expect that out of them too, but I didn't expect that from you today. I expect that type of stuff.
Oh, Molly could slide them in now. Molly could slide them in.
Yeah.
She'll slide them in if you're not expecting it. You know what I'm saying? She'll slide in some shots, no question. But it's all right. It's okay.
Molly's got jokes.
Can I have a little fun? All right, Perk, we'll talk to you in a minute. All right, breaking news into First Take. What we were discussing earlier, the issue where popcorn was dumped on Russell Westbrook. We saw that, and a fan spit on Trae Young. Well, the 76ers organization has released a statement announcing that the fan who threw the popcorn on Westbrook has had his season ticket membership revoked. He's banned from future events. They also issued an apology to Westbrook and the Wizards. Stephen A., I'll start with you. Your reaction.
His apology means nothing. He's old enough to know better. I'm glad he was banned. He's lucky he's not arrested. And again, the message needs to be sent. And we need to plaster his face up on the screen where, just like anybody else, if this were an athlete, we'd put him front and center. How come we can't put the fans front and center when they act like this? You got to shame them into knowing how to act better.
I don't think did the fan offer an apology, Molly? It was Philadelphia.
Yes.
Yeah, right. It would be better if the fan at least did.
Yeah.
I'm not into the shaming thing as much. I think there's people use shame too often, and I don't like it.
They don't
I would
use
say
it with
that.
the fans.
Right, I hear what you're saying. What I mean is that I think he should be prosecuted. I like the fact that his season tickets are revoked and he's suspended indefinitely. And, I think that's the right way to handle this sort of thing. You can, even when people talk about flipping athletes off, again, to me, that's what are you going to really do? But when you violate someone physically, it's popcorn, whatever. No. You've taken in the street. You have taken that decision out of your own hands. How they retaliate is really not up to you anymore, but we have laws governing that kind of behavior, and there should be some kind of a punishment for physically assaulting someone, even if it is with popcorn.
Yeah, it's simple assault. Do better and level up. Have some respect. We'll move on to a happier subject, though. The Knicks are back, baby, defeating the Hawks by 9 last night to tie up the series at 1 apiece before heading to ATL. We've certainly had a lot of Knicks gloating in the show this morning, but let's do some more. We bring in our friend, actor, Knicks lifer, Jerry Ferreira, joining us right now. Jerry, how we doing? Thank you so much for being with us. First of all, congratulations on the new baby. But I know this pales in comparison, but how excited are you about this win?
Oh, it's a great day. I'm happy to join the Knicks party that you guys got going on. And what a charmed life for my new son. The Knicks get the 4 seed and they're tied up in a playoff series. What a great life he's had so far.
We here, Jerry. We here. I appreciate you being on the show, my man. It's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. I mean, can you put it to perspective? For folks out there that don't understand, I know it's just a playoff win, but it's their first in 8 years. Could you put it to perspective what the New York Knicks fan has had to endure and why this moment right now is so special to us?
Yeah, I mean, the easy way to put it is, what were the expectations even coming into this season, right? We were trying to maybe position ourselves for the lottery again, or do we want to maybe go after this play-in game? The 4 seed was something unimaginable. And then, getting that playoff win, which we've been chasing for 8 years, and even 8 years ago, that was a lot of fun. This team is different. And I've been to Knicks games in March when they have 19 wins and they're, the fans are still cheering like it means something. So you saw it last night. The players felt it. Everyone felt it. There's nothing like this in basketball. I'm sorry.
Do you hear this? This is the problem. The Knicks have systematically lowered everyone's expectations to where, Jerry, you have to come on and say, look, what were the expectations before the season? My son's going to lead a charmed life because they're a 4 seed and won a playoff game? Jerry, I moved to L.A. You know what it's like to be a Lakers fan? Oh, it's so good. If a Lakers fan ever woke up and found out that they were a 4 seed and split in the first series and they were celebrating that, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Look. You want to talk about Knicks suffering? I'm 47 years old. I haven't won a championship in my lifetime, Stephen A., Jerry. I'm 47. They traded Nene and Marcus Camby for the remains of Antonio McDyess. They traded Patrick Ewing for the remains of Glenn Rice and cap problems. They never went after our test in the draft. There's a list a mile long why they haven't won a championship. And you guys sit here with this enabling Jim Dolan behavior. You're going to root for the Knicks no matter what and celebrate like it's your birthday because they got a split at home against the lower seed? That's a reason to celebrate.
I feel like you're making my point. I feel like you're making my point for me, Max. That is exactly why you root for the team when you don't jump off the bandwagon when they have 19 wins in April and when they won a playoff game. Now we can all cheer. No. I was there. I have suffered through it. I earned this moment. And I know it's only one playoff win. I'm not trying to say our expectations were so. What moment? Did you see the game last night? Did you watch what went on? Okay.
You got to split at home against the lower seed.
Oh, that's it. Ho hum. I mean, you're talking
because
about
Bogdanovich went 2 for 13 from 3. Ain't gonna happen again.
And what did he do in game 1 with hands in his face, hitting corner threes with 2 hands in his face? That's not going to happen again. Randall's not going to go 2 for 17 again. That's not going to happen again. And the Lakers, you want to talk about what the Lakers' expectations? Okay, they were a playing team this year. They had injuries. Stuff happens, okay? We are a 4 seed hosting playoff games. Not one analyst, not one member of the media, no one would have said that before the season. We have not seen the Knicks play. If you remember, when COVID happened, they had this long break. And what did they do? Everyone got ready to play when the time came again. They could have sat back. They found ways to get back in shape. We hadn't seen them since March. We've won games like last night all year long. That's why I was not panicking. No one should be surprised.
Okay.
Knicks have won games like that all year long.
Can I ask a question to all of you?
Molly, real quick, it's like they're in jail and the jailer comes and gives them a crumb and they're so happy for the crumb. Oh, thank you. Thank you for this little crumb. After 8 years, we got a crumb. Thank you so much.
Hold on, Max. Wait. So being 1-1 as a 4 seed in the playoff series with great young talent, all our draft picks, which we didn't have in years past, and the Mavericks' first-round picks, that's not something to be pretty darn excited about?
I think this is a good time.
We should just be like, oh, we're doing our job.
I think this is a good time for Knicks fans. They finally got it right. Kind of, I guess. We'll see what happens with them. In a couple of weeks, no one's going to be thinking about the Knicks. The Nets are going to be destroying the league.
Can I please ask a question? And I'd like to take this to the streets, to Twitter, to Instagram, to everybody. What's more pathetic? Jerry and Stephen A. being overly excited about splitting a first-round series here, or Max moving to L.A. and jumping on the bandwagon of the Lakers fans when he tries to claim he's a diehard New Yorker? What is actually more pathetic, bandwagon Max or the over-celebration by Jerry and Stephen A? That's what I would like people at home to answer.
First of all, that's an easy answer. The answer would be is that Max is pathetic, because if you're going to sit up there and trade and be the trader that you are and transition your fandom to another franchise, at least have the decency to make sure people actually care. Nobody cares about Max Kellerman being a Lakers fan, because the Lakers were winning championships in the double digits, and they had established how the greatness of their franchise in the purple and gold long before Max even made a flight to L.A. So that's just attaching himself to an insignificant element. That's number one. Number two, and more importantly, here's the bottom line, Jerry. When we're looking at the New York Knicks right here, let's understand something, okay? This particular series right here, all they got to do is win this series. And not only does it elevate them in our eyes, but it also puts more pressure on the Brooklyn Nets to win it all, because that's the only thing that will keep them relevant in the city, even though they got KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. If they don't win the championship in Brooklyn, everybody this offseason will be talking about the New York Knicks. Think about that.
By the way, I am a trader, not a traitor, a trader. I traded in a losing franchise for.
Can we hear from Jerry, please? We've heard enough from you.
Can we hear from Jerry, please?
So you can't claim New York love, though.
Sure, I can.
Like you don't rep New York.
Fan. Look, before
you
I
should
decided
become a Cowboys fan.
Before I
it's all
decided to take
teams.
the ESPN afternoon drive slot in LA, I had to consider, could I trade in my Knicks for the Lakers? I thought about it for 24 hours. I said, what, am I kidding? See you later, Knicks. All they've ever given me is misery.
And now there's no coming back, Max. Congratulations. You did it. There's no coming back. And if you don't think being down 1-0 and 12 and down 12 points with 4 minutes to go in the third and coming back and winning that game, and you think we're overreacting as a sports fan? Down 1-0, down 12 with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, and we come roaring back and we're overreacting? No. You can't fight it. You know what's happening. You're trying to fight it. But
Where
you
are
know
you from,
what's
Jerry?
happening.
Jerry, you live in Brooklyn, right? Brooklyn Nets.
Brooklyn.
That's the New York team.
Yes.
Brooklyn Nets is the New York team. The Brooklyn Nets is the New York team.
New Jersey Nets.
They were
KD and Kyrie should have chose the Knicks.
Brooklyn Nets.
That's what I should have asked Jerry. Listen, Jerry, all I know, you're a new parent, and you were quite the father too. Was it Elisa? Was that her name on Power? You had
That was her-
custody over her. You were an exceptional father to her on the show. So you know what that tells me? In real life, you are just going to be even better to your baby boy. Her name was Elisa, right? I know some kind of Italian name. Yeah, you were a great dad. You had the drug-addicted wife. It was very tough for you. I know you're in a better situation
You
now.
realize he's not the actual character, right, Molly? He's just an actor.
Yeah, I do.
Max.
Making it seem real to you.
I do. But I know that heart. All right, Max?
You know it's pretend, right? They're
Oh, my
pretending.
God. Can I just have my moment?
He's a good actor. That's right.
Entourage and Power are two of my favorite shows ever. Can I just enjoy it for a second? Do you have to ruin everything? Thanks. You know, as I was watching that lovely piece, I was trying to think of some of the adjectives Stephen A. often uses to talk about the Cowboys. I wrote some down. Pathetic, embarrassing, delusional, accident waiting to happen. But with the Knicks, you know, in the first round of the playoffs here, they're kind of under the microscope. So let me play something else for you. Okay, just in case anybody just woke up or they're very confused, the Knicks didn't just win the title. I just want to make sure everyone at home knows that.
You're not seeing footage from 1973.
Yeah, that wasn't the finals. I just want you to know what happened, everybody, is the Knicks barely won a first round game against the Atlanta Hawks.
A lower seed.
Okay.
Who've taken game
so I just want everybody to know what they're seeing. Stephen A., this really is a fantastic question. Well done by our whole team. Are Knicks fans actually worse than Cowboys fans?
Nothing on the planet Earth is worse than the Cowboy fans. If a nuclear bomb dropped, they're like cockroaches. They'll come flying out somewhere. It'll be them and the cockroaches. It'll be the cockroaches and the Cowboy fans. It's who they are, okay? There is nothing worse, absolutely nothing worse than a Cowboy fan. Let me put this in its proper perspective. Max Kellerman, we've had an opportunity on many, many occasions to address the New York Knicks. Up until this year, what were the topics? Wasn't it James Dolan? Wasn't it bad headlines? Yeah. Wasn't it the awful, the despicable tendencies of the franchise? Mistake after mistake after mistake. You and I marched in lockstep. Even though you are a traitor and you decided to depart for L.A., figuratively, literally, spiritually, and beyond, the fact is that even though I didn't do that, I sat on this show with you, lamenting the state of affairs. Oakley, getting fans removed from the arena, Phil Jackson, all of it, okay? I was never delusional. Knicks fans were never delusional. We wore bags over our head. We were disgusted. We sat up there as New York Knicks fans and wore our suffering on our sleeve. The Dallas Cowboy fans walk around. No, we're going to win the Super Bowl next year, right? They could be 1-15. No, we're going to win the Super Bowl next year, right? They could sit up there and look. They lost from in November through Thanksgiving all the way through Christmas. You know we're going to win it, right? We in. Last year, they got to a point where they were like 3-8 or 3-9, and they were like this. All we got to do is if we get it and we win this one game, even though they were going to finish the season like 5 games under 500, you know that means we'd be in the playoffs,
Stephen
right?
A.
This is who they are.
That's you, Stephen A.
There is
before the show ends.
nothing more disgusting than the Cowboy fans.
There's
New
nothing
York
more,
Knicks have worn our suffering. It's
not apples to apples. There's nothing more disgusting than an out-of-market Cowboys fan. In other words, they don't have any family from Texas. They're not from that neck of the woods.
Come on, man. Don't get specific.
They grew up in New York. They grew up in Boston. They grew up in L.A., and they're a Cowboys fan. Here's the difference. Knicks don't have any fans like that. There's no fans that are Knicks fans that aren't from New York or originally from New York. Not even one. You know why? There's no reason to be.
Right.
The year I was born, but months before I was born, was the last time the Knicks won a championship. Now, you told me that Knicks fans have the decency, basically, to be ashamed of the Knicks, to wear the bag over their head. No. Every year, because I was once one of you, I was big time Knicks fan, and we're gonna get Tim Hardaway. We're signing Tim Hardaway. No, you're not. We're signing Chris Childs. You guys were telling me, you and Molly, here comes KD, here comes Kyrie. No, they came to New York, but to the Nets. No, they don't go.
They're gonna regret.
But every year it was the same thing with Knicks fans, and now here you are, celebrating a playoff win against the lower seed. That you were lucky to come back, and they just started missing shots after they'd already taken a game from you at the Garden. You get a split in the first series of the playoffs at home against the lower seed, and it looks like Molly had to tell people, this is not like V-Day. I thought that was clips from the end of the Second World War in Times Square, the way people were celebrating. That's not a championship.
Listen. We have the decency to recognize our own stench, and we stunk for many years. That is not the case now. We living in it. We here, baby. We here. And by the way, Molly and Max, if you don't mind, I got a mini announcement real quick, just a few seconds. Over the last few weeks, I've seen a Mr. Kwame Brown on the social media airwaves going off about me and various others. I neglected to respond. I've been quiet long enough. Y'all check out Stephen A's World tonight on ESPN+.
Good tease.
You wanted my attention? You got it. That's all I got to say.
So Stephen A is going to respond to Kwame Brown. That's going to be on ESPN+, Stephen A's World. Max, you made a good point. Out-of-market people don't root for the Knicks. And Cowboys fans out-of-market that root for the Cowboys are despicable. But you can't make that point because you're a New Yorker who roots for the Lakers.
I lived in L.A., Molly.
It doesn't
I lived
matter.
in L.A. for 6 years.
It doesn't matter.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is LZ Granderson here to tell you about my new podcast from ABC Audio called Life Out Loud. This show is all about preserving the history and honoring the contributions of the LGBTQ community. Each week, I'll talk to some of the most fascinating people paving the way toward a more inclusive world. We're kicking off Pride Month with a 2-episode premiere on June 1st. New episodes would drop every Thursday, so check out Life Out Loud with me, LZ Granderson, wherever you get your podcasts.